special evening that we have in store for you. My name's Duncan. I'm one of the corporate team here at Not Just Travel, and we've got a real special treat for you this evening. But before we move on and talk about Hurtigruten and what we have to offer, let me talk to you a little bit about Not Just Travel. If you've not heard of us before, we're not new. We've been around since 2001, and we are a multi-award-winning travel company. So your holiday plans are in safe hands with us here at Not Just Travel. On top of that, all of your holidays are ABTA and ATOL protected, and rest assured, we go out of our way to make sure you have the most memorable and magical experiences for your holiday. Coming up this evening, we have got, we're going to talk to you about a holiday with a difference. So if you've ever thought about an expedition holiday or an adventure holiday, or indeed a cruise, and you thought, I'm not sure if it's for me, by the end of this evening, you are going to be wanting to go on one of those types of holidays. We have got the leading industry experts with us this evening to talk to you about all the wonderful things that you can experience with Hurtigruten. If you could give me a quick thumbs up in the chat box to let me know you can hear me and you can see me, that would be great. Just wait to see if those come through. Excellent, so we can see them coming through, which is brilliant. That's what we like to see. And if you do have any questions, do feel free to pop them in the chat box and I will be more than happy to get them answered for you. So just as a reminder, we're going to be talking about a very special type of holiday this evening, something you may not have heard of before, or you may be considering that's brought you here. One of our travel consultants may have brought you here thinking this may be something that you would be looking for. By the end of the evening, I guarantee that you will want to go on one of these holidays. I myself cannot wait to experience everything that Hurtigruten has to offer. So let's have a look and see, and I'm going to introduce you to James now. Hello, James.
Hi there, Duncan. You okay?
I'm really good, thank you. Thank you for joining us this evening. I just, before we go on any further, I've kind of done a little bit of an introduction. Now, we have got some special offers coming up at the end of this evening's presentations, haven't we? So stick around. These guys are going to want to stick around to the end, aren't they? And absolutely see what we've got in offer.
Absolutely. But yeah, thank you very much for inviting me here tonight, Duncan. It's always a pleasure to work with you guys, and obviously it's always a pleasure to talk about the fantastic world of Hurtigruten.
Excellent. So James, if you could just tell our audience a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's James Howlett. I am the UK Trade Partnerships Manager for Hurtigruten Group in the UK. What that means is I essentially get the fantastic job to be able to work with some great agent partners that we have here in the UK, and obviously work very closely with Duncan and the whole team at Not Just Travel. So yeah, it's not a bad job. It certainly beats working for a living.
Excellent. And this evening, you're going to introduce us into the wonderful product that you've got. Now, I've been really fortunate in being immersed in your product previously, just a few weeks ago. But I'm very excited about this evening. So what we'll do is, we'll if you do have any questions, guys, please just pop them in the chat box. I will pick them up as we go through. But obviously, James, I will start the presentation for you.
Fab. Thank you, Duncan. And obviously just setting the scene for everyone tonight. So what I've done is I've separated tonight's presentation into a few different sections, sort of the main go-to talking points that I always find are the most engaging for people, the things that people want to ask the most questions about. So first off, we're going to talk a little bit about an introduction of Hurtigruten, a huge section in terms of sustainability in the science programs, because I think it is something that a lot of people now I'm starting to find they're asking me a lot more about. An opportunity to tell you about some of our sustainability efforts, the history with that, and some of the programs that we have, not just on the ship, but also a lot of the stuff behind the scenes as well. Then we're going to come on to the actual product itself. So a couple of different aspects to that. So we've got Hurtigruten Coastal Express, which is our classic Norwegian voyage, Hurtigruten Expeditions, and then something a little bit new and exciting which launches this year. So it's all things that I know are important to people, things that you may have come to this presentation not knowing anything about Hurtigruten, or you might have already heard of some of the different sides of the brand and of the company. So hopefully this will give you a complete picture and a complete overview, and hopefully inspire you to hopefully want to travel with us in the future. So just getting things started, as I said before, we have got two distinct products that I've got the fantastic job to be able to talk about, to be able to shout about, and these are Hurtigruten Expeditions and Hurtigruten Norwegian Coastal Express, two very different brands, and I'll talk to you a little bit about how the company has evolved over the years. For those who don't know, we are 130 years old as of this year. We started in 1893. Now, the history of Hurtigruten actually translates to the fast route. That's what Hurtigruten means. Some people say Hurtigruten. I believe the correct pronunciation is Hurtigruten, but again, a lot of people in the UK and a lot of people around the globe know it as Hurtigruten. But yeah, 130 years old. So we've got a fantastic, rich history as a company. Now, the company actually started creating a route that would connect isolated communities throughout Norway. So that's our history. That's our heritage, if you like. Now, back in the 1890s, the government needed someone that could come forward and create a route that would connect northern Norway. A lot of the areas along northern Norway are in the Arctic Circle. They're higher than the elevation, so the longitude and latitude of places like Iceland, a lot of places within Alaska. So very remote, very isolated, subject to some absolute extremes in terms of weather. Getting into the winter months, there's a huge amount of darkness dominates the time frame throughout many of the weeks there. And obviously the storms can be quite intense as well, and some of that cold weather. Now, if you think back to the 1890s, you've got these small little towns, these small little villages dotted along the Norwegian coast, this absolutely breathtaking viewpoint and this scenery. And the government wanted to create something that would connect those areas with further down south, with the likes of Bergen and Tromsø and Trondheim and so on. And so a chap called Richard With, who was the founder of this route, came up with this idea that he would use a ship that would connect, and it would drop off goods and services. It would become a postal route, if you like. So it would drop off goods and services, drop off the mail, drop off supplies and so on. And also over the years, take people as well between these isolated communities. The whole idea with this and the whole nature of the Norwegian people, which we come from, is that explorer heritage. Our CEO, Daniel, he firmly believes we aren't a cruise company. And anyone who's been on a cruise before knows how fantastic a cruise is, whether it's a river cruise or an ocean cruise. They offer something very, very unique to everyone. And there's a lot of different operators out there that are able to facilitate different products, different styles, different entertainment and so on, to tailor make it to different customers. So I firmly believe there is a cruise for everyone. People who haven't been on a cruise before or don't fancy a cruise, they just haven't found the right one to suit them. Now, we use cruise ships, but we don't see ourselves as a cruise company. We see ourselves as an adventure travel company because we come from that history of those Norwegian explorers, the likes of Roald Amundsen, the history of the Kon-Tiki ship, that Viking history. The people of Norway really do want to explore, they want adventure, they want to see remote areas, and nothing says that more than Richard With, who came up with the fast route that would connect throughout Norway. And it is something that still continues to this day, and I'll talk more about that as we get into the coastal route of Norway shortly. But something I just wanted to feature and just something I wanted to talk about very briefly was actually our sustainable messaging, our sustainability. Now, you may have seen, it may be something that's very important to you. It might be something you perhaps don't think too much about, but you've probably heard a lot more in the world of travel, and you've seen a lot more on the television where people are focusing, they're talking more about sustainability. Now, very proud to work for a company, Hurtigruten, that are real pioneers when it comes to sustainability, and I'll talk more on that just in a little while. But sustainability is rooted into their DNA. They firmly believe, and like I say, our CEO Daniel firmly believes we can't just provide these incredible excursions and these incredible trips and think about the short term. We've got to think about the long term. So when I was talking to a lot of the team at Not Just Travel last week, we had some great feedback just in terms of people actually wanting to see these destinations, but doing it sort of more guilt-free, because there is a lot of that connotation there with travel. about, is this the most sustainable way to go there? Am I doing the most I can when I go and travel? And I firmly believe that Hurtigruten are not perfect. No one is, but they've certainly made leaps and bounds over the years. Before sustainability was even the touch point that people wanted to talk about and people wanted to shout about and focus on, Hurtigruten were doing it long, long before that. And so it's an exciting part of this presentation I always like to talk about. I'm just going to show you a short video that will set the scene into that messaging.
All the choices you take in your life will have some sort of an impact in one way or another. Throughout our more than 125 years of operation, we have witnessed the impact a part of the world blessed extensively with pristine nature, pure water, and clean air. We value what we have and want to keep it that way. That is why we made some fundamental decisions on how we operate years ago. We are here to raise spirits for good. For whom, you might ask? Our answer will be for you, for the people living in the small communities we visit, for wildlife, nature, and the environment. Yes, we are talking about sustainability, and we take this seriously. We want our expedition cruises to create change agents for sustainability, and we use traveling and knowledge sharing as our tools to make this happen. This is why we have adopted the UN Sustainable Development Goals as our guide to offer you sustainable expedition cruises. Our long heritage of exploration, both as a nation and as a company, creates a living legacy for today's expeditions. Through the history of mankind, going on an expedition has always been about broadening and expanding horizons. We believe that is true for today as well. Our goal is to boost and then satisfy any curiosity and knowledge you have about the destination you visit, be it its nature, wildlife, climate changes, history, or culture. We will give you authentic experiences of a destination, and to do so, we have expedition teams on board all our ships. These are experts, authors, researchers, and adventurers, handpicked for your expedition based on the destination their specific skills. They invite you to participate in in-depth lectures and interesting activities to gain a greater knowledge of the regions you explore. And they do so with enthusiasm and passion. We think that witnessing the beauty of our planet is sure to leave a lasting impression on you, and you'll talk enthusiastically about these stunning destinations with friends and family for decades to come. To make sure you can speak informatively when you return home, every one of our cruises has a focus on the environment. It is our hope that engaging with nature on our expedition cruises will inspire you to do all you can to cherish and protect the precious world we all share. In short, when you choose to go on an expedition cruise with us, you are setting a new, more sustainable standard for expedition travel.
So just following up on that sustainability messaging. So obviously, like I said before, Hurtigruten have been making leaps and bounds for many, many years. We were the first cruise company to introduce hybrid-powered ships across our fleet. So MS Roald Amundsen and MS Fridtjof Nansen were the world's first hybrid-powered cruise ships. They produce 20% less CO2. They produce 80% less NOx. MS Otto Sverdrup and MS Richard With have just been refurbished with battery packs and further green technology. We publish an ESG report. Like I said before, we aren't perfect by any stretch of the mean. We know that this is an ongoing process. Now, because of that, we like to just put everything out there. We don't try and shy away from any of these conversations. It's something, I've just come from a show over the weekend where we had a sustainable stand. We had a recyclable, an upcycled stand that was made from recycled plastics and ocean plastics around the world. So the carpet, the actual structure of the stand itself, and the messaging and the boards, etc. So a lot of this stuff here is something we're really proud, and we want to get better at it. We want to do more. We want to continue learning and expanding. So, like I say, we've published the ESG report. If it's something you want to have a look for, the Hurtigruten Group website, they've got that ESG report there published, and there are many, many pages about all the great work we've done, and also the areas that we need to improve and the areas that we need to get better at, because it's important to talk about both. We've just introduced the C0 project, which is we're planning to have an emission-free ship by 2030, be completely carbon neutral as a company by 2040, and completely emission-free by 2050. Over the next 24 months, all of our coastal ships will be hybrid powered. Now, just going back to Roald Amundsen and Fridtjof Nansen, we haven't just put hybrid technology on board and gone, there we go, that's fantastic, we're hybrid powered now, that's going to tick a couple of boxes for people. They've gone further into that. So again, there's some fantastic videos on our YouTube page which really talk a lot more detail and a lot more technically than I possibly could and understand. But little things like the ship itself, the hull was patented design by Rolls-Royce, where it's much more energy efficient. It cuts through the water, it cuts through ice much more energy efficiently. The off-produced heat from the engines as they're running, that heat is then transferred to heat things like the indoor pool, to heat the water on the individual in the individual cabins within the ship. So a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. We aren't just going to go, we've got some battery packs on the ship and there we are. It's constant innovation. As the technology improves, as technology gets better, it's something we are much more focused on in expanding and developing as a company. The other side, which is something which sort of sits behind in the background of sustainability, is our Hurtigruten Foundation. Now, this is something we've been having since 2015, donating to more than 50 projects in 12 different countries. And what I've got here is just a few of the different projects there that you just traveling with a Hurtigruten trip helps to fund and helps to improve these areas. So clean up wildlife killing plastics on Svalbard's remote beaches. What you've got here is the northern part of the Svalbard archipelago. And what this area is a desert. It's an Arctic desert, and it's an absolute pristine wilderness. And you've got polar bears and walruses and all manner of seals and incredible bird life and whales, etc., that call this area home, right in that Arctic Circle. One of the foundation's projects that we help to fund, we've got local volunteers that will travel from the most populated area of Svalbard, which is Longyearbyen, and they will travel there and they will clean up the beaches. Huge amounts of plastic. They get washed up on the beach, so from fishing nettings, etc. There's even been quite a lot of circumstances where reindeer have been seen with fishing netting wrapped in their antlers. So it's something that they're constantly going up there. So we help fund their travel up there. We help fund some of the equipment, etc., so they can go up there and remove some of these plastics. The turtle project, so safeguarding turtles in Cape Verde. So again, a endangered species of loggerhead turtle. They go to this beach in this area in Cape Verde every single year to nest, which leaves them extremely vulnerable, not only for predators, but unfortunately for poaching. Turtle meat is quite a popular source of meat within the Cape Verde Isles. And because of this and the endangered element of these turtles, the Hurtigruten Foundation funds work so we can hire conservationists who will patrol the beaches at night to protect the turtles, pay them a higher rate of pay. So hopefully they aren't as reliant on poaching and things like that and eating the meat from the turtles, but in funding that conservation element as well to protect these animals so they continue to come to this beautiful area of Cape Verde. Avalanche rescue dogs in Svalbard. Unfortunately, in 2015, there was a horrendous avalanche where many, many people lost their lives in Svalbard, and a number of volunteers from Longyearbyen went out to try and help to find and rescue people that were lost in the avalanche. Over the years, this has evolved. So actually now they train their dogs. People go out there multiple times a month to help train the dogs, to help train the volunteers, provide them with equipment and so on. And part of the Hurtigruten Foundation's job is to provide them with funds so trainers can come over there and stay free of charge, so they don't have to worry about funding it themselves, so they can give them the right training, the adequate training and resources so they can hopefully help save and rescue people moving forward. Protection of preservation of bird species. Again, we work very closely with the RSPB, something very close to Hurtigruten here in the UK. So we work very closely with the RSPB at islands that are areas of natural unique UNESCO World Heritage Sites around the islands of Great Britain and around the British Isles. So protecting some of these bird species. A lot of these migratory birds are extremely vulnerable, especially when they're young chicks, for mice and things like that. So again, part of the funding is helping to protect these and encourage their numbers moving forward. And finally, just one of the other things I wanted to touch on was the humpback whales in Antarctica. Humpback whales have got one of the largest migratory patterns out of any of the whale species. And part of that is a lot isn't really understood about what they do when they go to Antarctica. And obviously with the oceans increasing in temperature and things like that, it's having a real impact on the whale's food of the krill down in Antarctica. So part of the foundation is to provide resources, it's provide equipment, it's to provide opportunities where the research into humpback whale migration can be looked at and can be invested in, so we can understand the habitat and the behavior of these humpback whales moving forward to hopefully protect them for many, many more generations. And that's really the whole message of the Hurtigruten Foundation. It's not only protecting these areas, these vulnerable areas that we go to for ourselves, it's protecting them for many, many future generations and doing the best we can to be informed travelers, to have informed guests, but to help these areas moving forward. The other side that we have on all of our ships is our citizen science program, and this gives customers a real opportunity to, on our Hurtigruten expedition product, to learn more about some of these programs and actually be actively involved. So things like fjord photo and happy whale and things and other research elements, we're able to encourage guests to take photos of whales, for example, which get loaded onto an international database. So universities around the world can look at those pictures and they can study the migration, because the whales can be identified by their fin pattern or their markings on the body. So again, it helps to monitor the migration, the numbers, the family groups that these whales go into, monitoring the plankton, etc., in the water and the oceans to see how climate change is having an impact, monitoring the sea leopards and so on and so forth within Antarctica. So again, this is something that is totally free of charge. We have scientists on board. We have an incredible science center on our expedition ships. And this is really there. Customers can be as engaged or not as they like. And they can actually take part and actively take part with this research if they so wish. We also offer beach cleanups as well. Again, there is no obligation, but we go to these remote areas where, again, like I said before, unfortunately, plastic waste, fishing nets, etc., get washed up on the beach in these areas and these vulnerable places. So our expedition team will go out and collect some of this plastic waste and this waste and take that back to be disposed of properly, so it isn't being left floating in the ocean for some of these animals and so on. So again, customers can take part in this if they wish, and we usually find a lot of customers will come and actively take part with these beach cleanups. And you don't have to do absolutely anything on board in terms of funding this. This isn't something we go around to donate with. Every single time you travel with Hurtigruten, part of that money is donated into the foundation. We offer something that's called a green stay as well. So again, people are becoming much more adapted to, when they do stay in a hotel, or they stay on a ship, or they stay on a tour and so on, not having their rooms cleaned every single night, and not having the bed redone every single night, etc. So every time one of these green tags is left outside of a room, an amount per stay, per night, per guest is donated back into the foundation. We hold a auction at the end of every single cruise as well, every single trip, where the crew will auction off various things. They can be things such as the flags that wave at the back of the ship to identify the ships and things like that, artwork and so on. And all of the funds and all the proceeds from those auctions donated into the foundation. So incredible work, and it sits behind the scenes of the incredible product we do, but which is something why I like to talk about it so much, and I'm so eager to talk about it, because there's a lot of incredible destinations on this planet that many operators go to, but I never see anyone shouting about some of the stuff they do behind the scenes. I think it's so important that we talk about this, that we have the world and some of these destinations there for many future generations to come. It's an incredibly vulnerable planet, so we've got to do our utmost to make sure that we are adapting and we are evolving within this industry. Now, so just before I move on to Norwegian Coastal Express, Duncan, did you have any questions at this point before I move on?
I think just listening to the commitment to sustainability, I think it's great. So for our customers that are maybe considering travelling with Hurtigruten in the near future and the future, that importance of being as involved as much or as little, so they can really get off. They can they can go off board, they can help with the beach cleanups, they can help in local communities, but equally they can do something as simple as not have their room serviced on a daily basis every other day, maybe when they're on board the ship. And this is gives them an opportunity to feel they're giving back, and then you give back into the foundation, correct?
Absolutely, and it's something that I don't want anyone to ever think that when they go on board they've got to do all these things as well, because people can be as involved or not involved as they want to, but just by actually traveling on a ship, you are making a huge difference within these regions, not just in the area that you're visiting, but all around the world. These incredible projects that are done. So again, the more you do, fantastic, and the more that can be done, and hopefully you doing that little bit more in these destinations inspires more people when you're there as well, or inspires your friends and family to do more in these regions. But there is no obligation to. Just by actually traveling, you are making a huge difference as well.
And that's what I love about your brand, James. That's what I absolutely love about your brand. So let me just bring the presentation back in for you so you can continue.
Lovely. Thank you, Duncan. So the next part I'm just going to talk about is our Coastal Express, and it's something that probably we are most well known for, and many people here tonight may have travelled with us before. They may have actually heard about it, may have seen Jane McDonald or Susan Kelman sailing along that beautiful Norwegian coast. So again, it's our bread and butter. So I just want to start things off with a short video.
Norway is home to more natural wonders than you can count. In addition to an epic coastline with world-famous fjords, the untouched nature includes mountains, forests, limitless lakes, and glaciers. The midnight sun lights up endless summer days, and in winter, the northern lights often dance across the skies, a colorful contrast to the pure white snow covering the ground. Norway is also home to Hurtigruten, and has been so since 1893. Our famous Coastal Express has connected 34 remote communities along the Norwegian coast for more than 125 years. We still faithfully sail all seasons of the year and provide a vital service to the locals here. This is why sailing with us on the original Coastal Express is described as a legacy journey. A timeless and classical voyage where you take part in the everyday life of coastal Norway. Sail through breathtaking scenery, eat locally produced food, visit ports that include large cities, small towns, and secluded hamlets most vessels are unable to reach. You'll be traveling with a national icon, encounter the beating heart of Norway, and be part of living history.
It's always a little bit of a double-edged sword, that video is, because I do love watching it, but it always makes me very emotional because I always want to go back to Norway. I was very lucky to have travelled on part of that route last year in October, and it's known as the most beautiful voyage in the world. And when you actually sail on it, if anyone has sailed on it here tonight, or it's something you've always wanted to, it really is one of the most beautiful voyages that I've ever seen. And I've been lucky enough in this industry to have gone to many incredible locations, but really it is something so special. Like I said, it is iconic. It's from 1893, so as of this year we are 130 years old, and this route has evolved over the years from what it originally was to what it is today, and it'll probably keep on evolving, but at the moment it is an incredible route. So there's a few options with this itinerary. Now, you actually sail 34 ports. Now, if you're starting Bergen and travel all along northbound of the incredible Norwegian coast up to Kirkenes, which is right along that Russian border. So that's 34 ports we visit. And then on the southbound leg, we visit those same 34 ports. Now, one thing I always get asked is, why do you want to go to the same 34 ports? the great thing is because you'll be traveling along and you'll be going to each of these ports, you'll be there at different times. Some of these ports you'll be there in the middle of the night and you'll never ever know you were there. So on the way back, it gives us an opportunity to see some of those other ones, seeing it in a different perspective, different times of the day, different durations, and so on. So 34 ports north, 34 ports south, a total of 68 ports and locations we go to. 22 of those northbound trips, those northbound ports, are above the Arctic Circle. So it's incredible opportunity if anyone's interested in the Northern Lights, in astronomy. It is an incredible voyage and incredible country to be able to see the Northern Lights. So, like I said, Bergen up to Kirkenes, we go to the North Cape, which is the northernlymost point of mainland Europe, right on the edge of the Barents Sea. And then on the way up there and on the way back, we'll go through these beautiful islands, these beautiful atolls of Lofoten Islands to Vesterålen to Trollfjord, these beautiful locations. And really the scenery changes so much. At the very far north at Kirkenes, it's much more moorland sort of feel to it. It's more remote, more isolated. And as we sail further down, when we're getting towards Tromsø, when we're getting towards Finesse and Vesterålen, those Lofoten Islands, they are those picturesque mountains, the snow-capped peaks, absolutely breathtaking. Moving further south towards Trondheim, that's where you're going to see that incredible Atlantic road. So if anyone watched the last James Bond film, where they're going over the bridges and they're going over that incredible road over the sea and over the ocean surrounded by mountains, that is on that route that you sail past. And there are excursions where you can actually visit that area as well and drive alongside it. I was very lucky enough to go there last year, and I sailed from Kirkenes down to Trondheim and then drove along that Atlantic road and got in obviously passengers to film it for me as we're going along. It's hard not to hum the theme tune while you're driving along, so it's a little bit of a special area. So the full voyage here takes 12 days. So northbound 6, southbound 7, total of 12 days along this route. So absolutely breathtaking opportunity. You can do the full voyage if you so wish. You can do the north, you can do the south, or you can take sections of this and combine it to create a larger itinerary. Because this is a working route, this is something that is established by the Norwegian government. We tender for it every 8 years. Now, the benefit of this is it's constantly, we're going to the same areas every single time, the same ports of call, because we have to go to these areas. So you're seeing such a huge amount of Norway. I always say that consider this to be almost the complete collection. It's got all the A sides and the B side of a record on there. It's got absolutely everything. If you want to see Norway, this is the best way to do it. But because it is a working route, we go all year round. So we go every season, every month, every week, we sail along this route. Because we have to, we still connect these isolated areas. And although the infrastructure has changed a lot, the roads are better and things like that, when you actually sail through some of these islands, you'll be sailing along, it'll start going a little bit dusk at night. And as you're sailing, you'll see just a collection of little lights just on the side of a mountain. And as the ship gets closer to, the lights get a little bit brighter, the village and the town starts to come into the view. And one that I went to last year, you see just how isolated it is. There is a huge mountains behind it. It's surrounded by fjords. It's surrounded by mountains and ocean all along this isolated area. And looking at it, you really see just how important ships still are to this day of actually providing goods and services and keeping them connected to Norway. The other great thing about sailing with Hurtigruten is just actually how small the ships are. We do go to the same locations in terms of the Norwegian coast that a lot of other operators do. But for the eagle-eyed amongst you, you'll see there are 3 cruise ships. It might only look like 2, and it's because one of them, which is our ship, is nestled in just alongside that ship on the left. So you can see just how small we are in comparison to some of these bigger operators. Now, again, they do a great job of what they do, but the benefit of sailing with Hurtigruten means that you can get into these smaller, more hard-to-reach areas. We went through Trollfjord when I did this sailing, and Trollfjord is just this tiny little remote area. And as you sail through, it's 100 meters wide, this canyon is, as you're sailing to this fjord. And you can almost touch the edges of the canyon from the side of the ship. And it's pinpoint accuracy as it goes through, almost like threading a needle, goes to the end of this fjord, turns back round and comes back out. It's so tight that in winter we can't sail in there because it's frozen over between that canyon. So again, it just shows you how small our ships are. Most of our ships got a maximum capacity of around 590 passengers. Polaris around about 619, and the MS Trollfjord is a little bit larger. However, MS Trollfjord won't be doing this route this year. She's going to be doing something a little bit different, which I'll talk about later. So we'll have 7 ships sailing along this incredible route. So lots of different options. We go multiple times a week. MS Vesteralen, very small in comparison, around 490 passengers. Now, we very rarely actually sail fully booked as well, because we have so many passengers on board who might be solo travelers. Some customers will be taking smaller sections of the trip. Some will be doing the full voyage. So very rarely, even out of those 590 passengers, is it actually 590 passengers. So it is a great way to see this incredible location. Now, one of the big things, one of the big highlights of doing the Norwegian coast is hopefully being able to see the Northern Lights. Some of you may have tried to see them. Some of you may have seen them. Not to rub it in for anyone who hasn't, but when I did this voyage last year, I did 5 days from Kirkenes down to Trondheim, and I saw it 3 separate occasions, each time getting better and better. It might have been on the last 2 nights as well, but at that point, I didn't want to be woken up in the middle of the night anymore, so I turned my alarm off. So I cheated a little bit, but I'd seen it. And really, it's so impressive. You'll see some pictures of like these bright greens and iridescent greens. And obviously the strength of the Northern Lights changes depending on the season, depending on the solar activity. But what we have with our business, I said to you before, 22 of the ports that we do on the northbound and the southbound leg are above the Arctic Circle. We're in the Aurora zone. So between the 1st of October and the 31st of March, if there is not one registered occurrence of the Northern Lights in your voyage, you get a free 6 or 7 night Northern Lights cruise the following year. So we are very confident that you will see the Northern Lights. You are spending such a huge amount of time within that Arctic Circle and within those Arctic areas that the sky is clearer, the light pollution is less. You've got some of the strongest activity with the solar activity rather. So it's a great opportunity to see the Northern Lights. You can actually even do this voyage from 9 regional airport charters. So every winter we will charter our aircraft and we travel from different regional airports to go and see the Northern Lights, flying us from whatever regional airport, Manchester, Bournemouth, Bristol and so on, flying over to Bergen. One of the things we've got out at the moment, because of this New Year campaign, is all of our coastal original Spirit of Norway, the 12-day itinerary. We've got £130 per person discount, and we've got an onboard credit as well of £130 per person, which you can spend on excursions or some extra drinks and things like that. Next up, we're going to talk a little bit about expeditions. I know you've seen some of the videos, etc., featuring expeditions and the areas, but I just want to take this opportunity to see if Duncan, if he's got any questions from anyone who's seen about the coastal product.
Sorry, I was muted. Not very often that happens for me. Loving the coastal product. There are lots of things around making sure, do they get an alarm if the Northern Lights make an appearance, which I think you've covered off. So yes, they do.
Yeah, there's a phone in each of the rooms that you can set to the announcements there. So whatever time of day or night, if there is an occurrence of the Northern Lights, it will come directly into your room and just alert you. And in the day, in the evenings, the announcements are in the public areas as well.
Which is fantastic, because for a lot of people, it's a big bucket list thing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I've been very fortunate to see them myself, and they're very magical. And he's just absolutely fantastic. Lots of things. I mean, some people reminiscing, used to be a deck officer on a cruise ship. Wish I'd worked on board these ships. Sounds amazing. Fantastic. Look at that. That's awesome, isn't it? So, yeah, lots of great little comments coming in. Some stuff about Antarctic, but we'll talk about that when you've covered that section of the presentation.
Brilliant, which is what we're coming to now. So I will get started with our expeditions product. So as I mentioned earlier on, the other side of our business is Hurtigruten Expeditions. So where this goes to is pretty much everywhere else other than Norway. So we're very fortunate we go to some incredible destinations. We aren't just polar bears and penguins, as I once heard someone say. So it's not just cold water locations. We do warm water as well. So we'll sail along the US coast, on the west coast in the Pacific. We'll go around Alaska. So we'll do Alaska as a cruise. We'll go through the Northwest Passage. So one of the few real adventures you can still do in a ship, because it changes so much, the ice and the movement, etc. The weather is so unpredictable. It really is a proper adventure. We'll go around Greenland into some of the most remote areas to see the Greenland people, to see the muskox, the polar bears, the caribou, and so on. We'll go around Iceland. We'll go all the way up to Svalbard, into that archipelago, hopefully to see polar bears and walruses and the icebergs and so on. We'll go around Norway. We'll do the fantastic West Africa and Cape Verde Islands. We'll go around the coast of South America on the Pacific and the Atlantic side. We'll even do the Caribbean, the Panama Canal, sail through Central America. And obviously one of the big destinations that we visit in terms of just how impactful and emotional it is as a destination is Antarctica. So we do go to the seventh continent, one of the most remote areas you can possibly go to, sailing along that famous Drake Passage, following the footsteps of Roald Amundsen. It's an absolutely incredible destination. So we do travel to Antarctica during our winter season as well. The other thing we do, which not many people know about, is we do sailings from Dover. We do sailings along the British Isles. We do sailings from Glasgow. We'll do sailings from Edinburgh over to Iceland this year as well. So we'll go to some very remote areas of the British Isles that you may have been to, you may not have been to. So St Kilda, going to Foy in the southwest coast, going to along the coast of Ireland, going to Fishguard in Wales, and so on. So some beautiful locations along the British Isles. And we'll even, during the winter months, we'll sail from Dover along the coast of Norway to hopefully see those northern lights. So you don't have to fly over to Norway. You can do it straight away from the UK as well, which is fantastic and very popular. Now, our expedition ships are very special indeed. As you'll remember from earlier on, MS Fridtjof Nansen and MS Roald Amundsen are our two hybrid powered ships. There are two flagships, if you like. So they hold maximum 528 passengers. Now, we cap that at 500 guests when we travel to Antarctica. How small these ships are, it means we can actually do those landings on Antarctica as well. So a lot of those other bigger ships that you may have seen, you may have looked at, you'll need a pair of binoculars to look at Antarctica because you won't be going there. Whereas our ships are small, and some other operators have the same thing in terms of how small their ships are. We'll set foot on Antarctica, on the Antarctica ground, in the Antarctica soil, if you will. MS Fram, 250 passengers, will also sail to Antarctica. Very small, intimate ship. It was one of our first icebreaker vessels and one of our first expedition ships. So she'll do Svalbard, she'll do Greenland, and obviously Antarctica as well. MS Nordstjernen, which is based just out of Svalbard, will do 5 6-day itineraries from Svalbard. MS Otto Sverdrup, MS Spitsbergen will sail Svalbard as well, but will also sail from Glasgow to do around the British Isles, in the Scottish Highlands and so on, as well as the Irish Sea. And MS Santa Cruz is our dedicated Galapagos vessel. So she's only 90 passengers, beautiful staterooms and cabins on board. But yeah, she will sail along those incredible Galapagos Islands to give you a real snapshot into those incredible remote locations. I hopefully see some of that impressive wildlife as well. In terms of decor on board, because a lot of people ask this question, it's very important. You're going to be staying in these cabins for a number of days, weeks, and so on. So you'll see all of these images here are from MS Fridtjof Nansen, MS Roald Amundsen, which are all outside-facing rooms, very modern and contemporary in design, Scandi chic, I like to say. So they've got that Scandinavian feel, that Scandinavian look and feel, but very comfortable, very spacious, very well equipped, a great place to relax after a long days of exploration and hiking, etc. as well. So beautiful rooms. All of our ships, we are in the process over the next few years renovating and refurbishing, and not just with hybrid power, but improving some of the decor on board those ships that need it. Many of them have already been refurbished. MS Fram was just recently done, I believe, beginning of last year, end of 2021. So again, a lot of these are coming up to the same sort of standard that you see here. Now, in terms of inclusions, expeditions are much more inclusive because you are going to remote areas. There's not really anywhere that you can pop out for dinner or go to a little bar or restaurant. So because of that, we will include all meals and snacks. We've got a restaurant which you have breakfast, lunch as a buffet. Dinner will be a sit down, choose from a menu, 4 or 5 course dinner. You've then got a fantastic more relaxed, informal dining area, which is your things like burgers, sandwiches, pizzas, etc. And then we have a fine dining restaurant as well. So anyone that stays in a suite can have all their meals at the fine dining restaurant if they wish. And then the other guests can pay a small supplement and go and eat at the fine dining a la carte restaurant as well. We include Wi-Fi on board. We've got a fantastic expedition team, which I'll touch on in a moment. Every single customer gets an expedition jacket when they board the vessel. So it's the first thing that happens. You check in, you get your room key, you go straight into the science centre and the lecture hall, and you get your Helly Hansen Hurtigruten expedition jacket, which is yours to take away and to keep as well. I wear mine every single time I go and take my dogs walking. So it's a great jacket, and it's great for these elements being stuck in the rain and the wind and so on. You can use boots and walking poles if you so wish. There's nothing worse than snapping a lace on a pair of walking boots or getting a leak or something like that. So there are walking boots and walking poles and equipment as well that you can use free of charge. And some stuff such as cameras, etc., you can use a small supplement as well. There is lectures. Now, these are held by our expedition team or some of the scientists on board, and I'll come on to those in a moment. Your small boat landings, your activities on board, so whether that's photography classes, whether that's lectures, you've got an excursion included every single day. There are some optional excursions you can do, but they're really for the purists of people who want to go and do something properly unique, which are things like camping overnight on Antarctica. Although I was chatting to a gentleman last week who had just come back from Antarctica with us, and he was thrilled that he got to do two things that he always wanted to do. One was swim in the Southern Ocean, just off the Antarctica beach. He went over, he was wearing shorts, he wasn't trotting out in his Speedos, so he went swimming in the Southern Ocean. And the other thing was he got to sleep and camp overnight on Antarctica soil. He said it was the worst night's sleep he's ever had because he had a seal sleeping next to his tent that just snored the entire evening. So again, you can do it. Doesn't mean you'll get a good night's sleep, though. But other things included is all your gratuities. So all your tips are included as well on all of our expedition and coastal products. Our expedition team are absolutely fantastic. These guys are experts in the regions that they go to. Now, they'll be scientists, they could be geologists, they could be marine biologists, could be experts in ornithology, history, all manner of different things. So they are there as an expert guide for you, not just to lead your expeditions and your sailings and your landings, but also to talk to you, to host lectures and things like that as well. They'll do nature walks, husky sled rides, they'll host beach cleanups, like I said before, all different levels of excursions, all different levels of activity as well. So you don't need to be super fit. You don't need to be running triathlons every single week. You can go for nice leisurely hikes. The members of the expedition team will be there for everyone. The other thing that's great about an expedition cruise, and this is really the big difference with an expedition cruise versus a normal cruise, is the locations that we go to aren't necessarily near landings. They're not near ports. They're not near anywhere where we can dock up and get our customers off necessarily. So what we'll do is we'll anchor up subject to weather, and we'll journey out on these incredible small boat tenders. So the great thing about Hurtigruten one is our landing dock, our landing base is so close to the water. So it means that we can actually get and help customers on and off these small Zodiacs that you see here. We'll hold a maximum number of guests on board. We organise this via group, so there's not a load of people hustling and bustling to get on board. Everyone is organised into a group the moment they embark on the ship. And even people who've got mobility issues, I've even seen some of this incredible team help people on and off with wheelchairs. So again, it's something you don't have to worry about. If you do have some mobility issues, you can still go to these incredible locations. So having these docks so close to the sea just helps us able to do that. Very safe and rugged boats allows us to get really close into the coastal scenery, go and do beach landings as well, so we can go to these remote expedition adventurous ports of call as well to really be immersed into that destination. Now, we've got some offers here on our expedition product. So firstly, sailing from Dover, doing the British Isles, it's reduced down to $2,499 just to celebrate the start of this new year. So incredible opportunity to sail around the British Isles cruises, not worry about going away on flights, etc. We'll do Norway along from Dover, going up to the Norwegian coast, where you can save up to £500 per person at the moment. And the great offer we've got for our expeditions is across all of our expeditions, we have got a flight inclusive offer from the UK, so you don't have to worry about getting your own flights, etc. We've got the flights included within the price of your expedition. That includes Svalbard, that includes Antarctica, that includes Galapagos as well. So a great opportunity to go to these areas, really, that you can book through the team at Not Just Travel and really get immersed into these destinations. Now, as we wrap up, I'm going to touch on, and we'll come on to some questions at the end. I am conscious that we have running towards a little bit of time here. So I'm going to talk about our incredible new product. You'll remember earlier on, I said there was 2 brand new itineraries that MS Trollfjord was going to be sailing on this year, all to celebrate our fantastic 130-year anniversary. So for June of this year, we're going to be sailing to Svalbard. So we're going to be sailing part of that coastal route to the incredible location of Svalbard. So the Svalbard Express is something we've been doing since we did it in the 60s right the way through to the 80s. So not only connecting those really hard to reach areas of northern Norway, but also expanding that over to the Svalbard archipelago, to Spitsbergen, which is the largest island. So what we'll do, so flights are included with this as well, because it is part, you'll remember earlier on I said that the coastal route is almost a complete collection. It's got all your B-sides and the A-sides. The Svalbard Express and our other route, which I'll talk about in a moment, are very much the greatest hits. So we won't go to all 34 ports. We'll go to some of the key highlights along this area. So we'll start in Bergen. We'll sail up to Alesund. We'll sail up to Lofoten Islands. We'll go to Trollfjord, to Svalbard, Stokmarknes, Tromsø, all the way up to Hurtigruten, to the North Cape, to the northernlymost point of mainland Europe. That's where your adventure is going to start. We're going to sail through the Barents Sea to Bear Island, to Bjornøya, which is this incredible island, which is there's no one lives on it. It's very isolated, but absolutely breathtaking as you've been sailing through the Barents Sea, and all of a sudden this landmass appears. Then we carry on over to Svalbard, to the island of Spitsbergen, where we'll go to Longyearbyen, to near Alesund, before journeying back down to the band just north of Tromsø, and then we continue that sailing back down to Bergen, where we'll fly out of. This is a 16-day itinerary. We include your flights. You've got your tips included. It's full board, and there is a small drinks package on board as well. So incredible location, incredible opportunity to not only see some of those incredible areas of Norway, but also one of the most hard to reach areas in the world, and obviously hopefully see polar bears and things like that. Svalbard, like I said before, it is a very remote area. You are on the edge of the Arctic Ocean. You are further north than many locations on the planet, further north than most of Canada, further north than Alaska, further north than Iceland. It is absolutely spectacular and breathtaking. The other one that we're going to be doing, so that's Svalbard Express, is going to be for summer. We'll start that in June, right the way through to October. Then in October, we're going to be taking on the North Cape Express. And this is one that is the first time ever we've done this itinerary. And this is for the first time ever we're going to be sailing in and out of Oslo, Norway's capital city. Slightly shorter itinerary. It's 14 days. Like I say, this will be a winter trip, which means, yes, you've guessed it, the Northern Lights promise applies to this, and we'll get to hopefully see the Northern Lights at many locations. We'll fly into Oslo. You get a pre-night at a hotel. Then we'll travel the next day along that beautiful Norwegian coast, again, going to the likes of Alesund, going to Alta, going to the Hurtigruten and the North Cape before journeying back along that beautiful Norwegian coast, finishing off in Bergen, where you'll fly back. Now, there's 2 options for this. You can start in Oslo, finish in Bergen, or you can start in Bergen and finish in Oslo. If you finish at Oslo, it gives you an opportunity to expand it. If you want to extend it, have a couple more days in Oslo. It is an incredible city, if anyone hasn't been before. Very urban, absolutely incredible museums, great food, and so on and so forth. So really great location to actually travel to as well. Same thing applies, although it's a 14-day itinerary, but you do have your flights. It is full board. There are snacks available. And of course, there is a small drinks package, Wi-Fi tips, etc. all throughout. There are optional excursions throughout, so you can almost, same as the coastal product, with this you can add excursions in, you can tailor-make the experience really to what suits you and what you want to get from it. And again, like I said, the Northern Lights promise applies. Now, the other great aspect of this trip is we are going to be having a full refurbishment of MS Trollfjord. So from March through to May, she'll be going in for a refurb. And these are some of the images and the artist renderings we've got so far. So very premium in design, very contemporary, very Scandi chic, like I said before. But absolutely beautiful. Great place to be able to relax in, bringing it to a different standard. The whole idea of this trip is really to showcase the incredible coast of Norway, but also to showcase what we can do with the ship and really elevate it to a different type of cruise product as well. In terms of activities and programs, lots of things to do. So there'll be cinema nights, there'll be movie nights, there'll be cocktail making classes, there'll be cooking demonstrations. So our chefs are going to be really focusing and showcasing some of those older methods of cooking that we used to have back in the 1800s and the 1900s. So salting, curing, pickling, things like that. We'll do demonstrations around that so you can really get involved. We're going to have an extensive library all about sustainability, wildlife, history and the culture. There's going to be photography classes, art classes. There's going to be some musicians on board. So although the rest of our product, especially in expeditions, doesn't have any entertainment as such, it's all about edutainment. So it's education throughout and it's information. It's relaxing for you for when you've done those long expeditions. This product is going to have a little bit of entertainment on board. There's also going to be an extensive fitness, gym and wellness center on board. We're going to expand the gym to double its size as well, which is going to be fantastic. So great opportunity, some great opportunities for expeditions and excursions from a beautiful MS Trollfjord in not only Norway, but also Svalbard as well. Now, to celebrate this, we've got best ever offer on here. So the Svalbard Express, we've got £1,000 off per passenger. And on top of that, you've got a £260 per person onboard credit. So you've got some money there to go towards those excursions that you want to do as well. Then in the North Cape Express, which is our winter adventure, where you can hopefully see the Northern Lights and so on, you've got up to £500 per person savings, plus that £260 onboard credit as well. And I think Duncan was going to give you something extra special just to showcase these two new itineraries that we're working very closely with the guys at Not Just Travel for.
Yeah, thanks, James. So, I mean, these are amazing prices and they are not going to be around for long. But obviously, you know, it's such a fantastic product. So, as you can see with the savings that you've got already, we're going to offer you a Not Just Travel exclusive discount of an additional £50 per booking. So, if you've watched the presentation this evening or you've watched it on catch up, do speak to your travel consultant that invited you along and make sure that you do get that applicable £50 saving for making that booking with your Not Just Travel consultant. The offer isn't around forever. It is only valid until Monday, so you do need to be fingers on the buzzer as quick as you can. James, there are just a few questions, if I may, sir.
Of course.
I again, absolutely. Let me just turn this off, and it's easy. It's just the two of us there. It's a fantastic presentation as ever. Absolutely loved it. I'm always immersed in your product whenever you come and present to us, and tonight has been no different. I'm absolutely in awe of what you sell. A couple of questions in terms of the Antarctica camping and kayaking. Is there a supplement for that?
So the kayaking and the paddleboarding, no. So again, you just book those excursions. The camping overnight, because it is limited, so there's only a limited amount of customers that can actually do that. So it's almost like a raffle. So it is a real bucket list for a lot of people. There isn't an additional cost for that if people want to, because it is so nuanced as well. Not everyone wants to do it. It's obviously weather dependent as well. One of the things with Antarctica is you've got to stay 4 meters away, I think it is, from the penguins, but no one's told the penguins. So you'll quite often be camping overnight in Antarctica and wake up to a Gentoo penguin stuck by your camp next to you. I love that.
I love that. I'm sure that I would be very happy with that if that happened to me. So a couple of other things that are coming in. Are any excursions included for the Coastal Express as well as the expedition cruises?
So not with the Coastal Express. The Coastal Express, you'll find, because there's an opportunity, because you're going so many places, there's an opportunity to almost tailor your experience. The excursions can be ranging from things like hikes to reindeer safaris, husky sled rides, museum visit, food tasting trips, sea eagle safaris as well, which is really popular. So because it's such a broad stretch, we give opportunities, and it's reflected in the price as well. Customers an opportunity to bespoke their experience and tailor it to what their interests are. So although there will be some hikes, the expedition team will go off and lead a few hikes in these destinations on the coastal product into the different ports. The excursions would be an additional cost to that, yeah.
Okay, perfect. And what's the likelihood of seeing orcas on these cruises and expeditions?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, again, depending on the seasons and what have you, that can be that plays a part. Obviously, the migration of where the whales go. But a lot of the killer whales, I think the studies have shown that killer whales and orcas are really close family groups. So you'll find that every individual family of killer whales around the world have developed their own method of hunting. And we've hopefully seen Frozen Planet 2, which showcased just how different and how obviously brutal the method of hunting the Southern Ocean whales, killer whales, perform. But yeah, again, it's very often we will see killer whales and orcas on board. It just depends on obviously the time of year, the region, and unfortunately, just good old-fashioned luck. That plays a huge part too.
Absolutely, completely agree. And is there a minimum age of that you take guests on board? Do you
I believe
accept
it's 5 is the minimum age. So we do tend to get probably more families on board the coastal product, because the expedition product is so nuanced and it's so different. We do sometimes get children on board. It's not too often. It's really if they've got a real interest in that as well. And again, in terms of the excursions that they can do, really does depend on the destination they go to. So Svalbard, for example, with the polar bears, it is incredibly dangerous. So again, the captain would just monitor people's behavior, not just children's, but people's behavior, if they're going to be allowed to go out and hopefully see this region up close and personal, because it is so dangerous and we are so remote as well. But yeah, 5 is generally the age that we accept on board. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Sorry, I'll give a straight answer. I'm like a politician, aren't I? Go around the houses.
We absolutely love it, don't worry. An interesting question just coming up. I know we're very short of time, so I'm going to wrap it up. This is the last one. So how far out to sea does the ship sail on the Norwegian coastal cruise? Does it hug the coastline?
Yeah, it really does. Obviously, it does go out a little bit, but it's certainly not way out in the open ocean. The great thing is about that itinerary is you might be out exposed to the elements in places like the Barents Sea, but then you'll drop down into the islands, etc. But it really does hug the coast. You're never, looking at the coastline from a distance. You are very close to it all throughout. Again, weather plays an impact in that as well, unfortunately. But for the most part, you are very close to that Norwegian coast, that coastline, which also means we can go into those fjords and those harder to reach areas as well.
Which is awesome, which is absolutely fantastic. And in reply, the offers that you've seen this evening, guys, they do refer to 2023. There are offers out there for 2024. We have got some offers out there, but the offers that we've mentioned this evening are for 2023. So don't forget, that massive saving of £1,000 per person on the Svalbard Express, and equally the £500 per person on the North Cape Express. They're not to be missed. They really, really aren't. We would never undersell this product. We would never absolutely undersell the product. It's an amazing product. But obviously, we want you to experience it. It's the whole idea. So please, if we've whetted your appetite and you want to know more, please reach out to your Not Just Travel consultant. They'll be more than happy to take your call. Remember, we are not on the high street. We do not close at 5 o'clock in the evening, and our travel consultants are there ready to take your call. So, James, thank you so much for your time this evening, and have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thanks very much, Duncan. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.